Welcome friends! I recently covered how to export the base from one save into a prefab POI that you can reuse in another game or send to your friends or simply load in the editor to improve, rebuild and make even cooler. But the fun part really comes when you learn how to import the base into a game save. That's what we're going to be covering today. If you're not sure how to export the base, check out the description below the video. I will be linking my video explaining how to do so. First off, find a nice lakeside spot or on a mountain or pretty much anywhere. In this case, I've actually started a new game and found something around 0 just to make it easy to locate. You'll see here on the map, it's actually nice with a lake, forest and wasteland. It's actually a really good place for a base because you'll get nice loot in here and you're not actually living in the wasteland, you're living in the forest area. Oh, with a lake, so you got plenty of water. Next thing you want to do is, well, probably exit out of the game, but I'm going to leave it in the background. You go to your Steam. We want to find the location where you need to put the prefabs in order for the game to find it. So go to your game, right click and hit properties. Once you're here, you're going to install files and browse. That will take you to the game install directory. You'll see it's generally in program files down to 7 days to die. We're going to go down to data and then we're going to go down to prefabs. We're going to go down to PIs because it's a POI. And you'll see all the game POIs in here. Next up, two things. Let's say you've already exported this as per my previous video. You'll have these files, that is the base cool. They will be under the app data, roaming, 7 days to die, and local prefabs. You can actually just pull them over and copy them over, and I've actually done that. If you have a friend who's made a base and they zipped it up and sent it to you, you can just extract it. You want to make sure you are in the POIs folder, and after extracting, it should be looking something like that. There should be a few different, what happened to that? There we go again. There should be a few files that should be in this folder. If they're in a subfolder, you have to copy them up. So make sure they're in here. Once you're done, exit your game if you're in it. Now a caveat here. When you're doing this, it does not copy loot that might have been in chest. It does not copy wiring for electricity. So electricity items will be there as well, but it'll be sort of like the PUI version of it. So you do need to remove a bunch of things when it comes to electricity, replace it, rewire, refuel your generator, stuff like that. That's unavoidable. But let's go to editing tools. And what we're looking for here is not the prefab editor, which allows you to load in your POI that you might have been exporting from a different save or that a friend sent to you. The POI that we have here, but we will not be editing it. Instead, we will be going to the world editor. So we're going to do that. And in this case, I took the pregen 6K. Now what happens, because the pregen is a pre-generated map that is part of the install, when you try to load it, it'll basically say, hey, you can't edit it, but we're going to make a copy of it. So that's what I've been using. This is the copy that we will be inserting the POI into. So we're going to start that up and it will load this in the world editor. It will look similar to the actual gameplay version, but there'll be some differences. And you'll be able to immediately see it looks similar but different. And actually will have the name of the actual houses. If I look around, there's one there. And there'll be another one. You move around with Q, Shift Q, you teleport basically around. You'll see the POI, this is the cabin. We're going to go to the map. Things take a little bit longer to load than it does in the regular gameplay version. But we're going to go and find the same location we had before, which was actually around here. See, we teleport over here. It will load in. There we go. And you'll see there's another POI here. So this is the spot we're in that I want to place it into. So we found this spot, and the first thing we want to do is hit Z because we have to mark the location of where it should be spawning. After that, we hit K, which will bring up a small modal box here that we hit dynamic prefabs on and select. This will bring up all the different prefabs that are in the game. In this case, we're going to search for base cool. Now there are two versions of it. One is in the local prefabs, which is the one where you export it, and one is the one I copied into the POIs. I generally, when I'm going to add it to a game, I like to copy it into the POIs just to make sure that I know it's there and not one that I might be editing from an export and messing up. So we're going to select that one and we're going to hit place. That looks nice. Now, but you can notice it's like, well, it's floating. at least partially. It's like partially in here. So we have to actually shift it. And if we hit X, it will turn it around. This is not what we want to do because we want to have this facing. It looks good. We have a frontal facing towards the lake. And by holding G and then using my WASD, I see I can actually move things around for a better location. Let's say I want to have it here. Is a maybe it's a good location there, but I still want to bring it down. So let's hit C in order to sink it into the ground. Space will lift it up. C will bring it down, and something like that. And we're going to release G. That looks pretty good, right? You see it's sunken down into the ground, which is exactly what we wanted, so that it's not going to collapse. And we can, of course, verify that. We'll see right under the ground is the flooring that I put. So this looks pretty good. This looks almost correct. You know, there's some things, obviously, that it's not going to fit 100% like I had asphalt because I was building on asphalt. And again, it might not be 100% even across here, but this is good enough. Something like this should work fine. And then we're going to hit escape and we're going to do a save. World save. You saw world save. Let's do it again just to make sure it's properly saved. And then we're going to exit. We're then going to go into the game and we're going to continue this. And you see it's using the Pregen 6K user copy, which is the one we just edited. And we're going to start. And we're going to load in and we'll see, there's nothing here. So it didn't work. Well, not quite. So the way it works is that because I've already visited this area, the game, when I moved over here, it basically went into the prefabs list and said, hey, okay, this is how it looks. This is how I should generate it. And it generated, saved it down to disk. It's part of the save. But when I then edited the template, which is the generated world, the user copy of the Pregen 6K, I edited it and inserted it. It's not reloading it because it doesn't have to. It's already put in. But you see, if I'm hovering over here, the game is still saying, hey, there should be a base cool here, but it's not. So how do you make it appear? And if, for instance, if I had never gone here, let's say because I started here, if I didn't teleport here over first, so this was undiscovered, it means it would not have been generated when I first joined over here. And then when I teleported, it would actually generate. But since I've already gone here, have I messed things up? So you'll see that it has actually changed it a little bit here because this has been changed because of my prefab is there, but the prefab is not there. So we're actually going to go inside here. This is where the prefab is supposed to be. We're going to do a CR and it is enter, and you see it popped into existence. And see if I can I get out here? Yes, I can get out. So what this CR does, it basically does as a chunk reset. And because I was inside here, it basically said, hey, fine, I'm going to reset it based on the files that are already there, even if I'm in a current save. And it basically plopped things in. Unfortunately, notice it had the wrong facing. This is not the facing I wanted to have. And this sometimes does happen. So how do we fix that? So I loaded back into the world editor and yep, it's facing the wrong way, which is not how we placed it. So we're going to go back into the local prefabs folder that we had, because that's where we put things previously, because that's in the roughly the correct location. If you're not here, what you can do, you could hit app data. I'll go to the correct folder. You go into 7 Days to Die. And what we're going to do here, we want to go to generated worlds. And then we're going to go down to the Pregen 6K user copy, which is the one I have here. We're going to go in here. And we're looking for the prefabs.xml. What you want to do is edit it. I'm using Notepad++. You can use a regular Notepad. That's fine. So we want to look for cool base. See if we can find that. Cool. Here, it's at bottom. And rotation will determine the facings, and it's 3, which is the wrong way. So we're going to change it to number 1, which I think will turn it around 180. We're going to hit save. We're going to do that, and we're going to exit out of the editor, go back into the main actual survival gameplay save, and you'll notice it's still the wrong facing. Of course it is, because it's already been loaded in. So we're going to go in here and we're going to do a CR. There we go. And you'll notice it still messed it up. Now we have an entrance on both sides. Something is wrong. Not to worry. Let's go out to the front and let's just try to regenerate the chunk again. CR minus or hyphen F, and it should do it properly. And as you can see, now it's done properly. We have the correct base, we have the correct facing, we don't have a double door on the wrong side, and everything is as it should be. And now we've imported my old really cool base into this beautiful beachfront property. And actually I realized this is a really good place because you have wasteland, you are in a pine forest, you got a lake here, you also have a desert nearby. Only thing you're missing is the snow, which is pretty far out, but beyond that, it's actually a really good location. So as you notice, there are a few things that can go wrong. One, the facing can be wrong. You can fix that by editing the prefabs.xml in the actual generated world save that you have. If you're using another one, let's say it's not the pregen, let's say it's South Vebayaka Mountains, same thing, all of them will have a prefabs.xml that you can actually edit. And that should help you take care of the facing. Now, regenerating a chunk, sometimes you have to go a little bit out of the chunk, sometimes you have to go into the chunk in order to make sure that you properly generated. I'm not sure what all that happens. If I do a CR here, well, it did it properly. Sometimes it simply doesn't. By normally doing a CR or doing a CRF will fix the problem, and you might have to load and exit the game a couple of times if that doesn't work, but generally it's always worked for me after doing it a few times. So it's fairly straightforward to just add on your POI into even an existing save. And the same thing actually will work if you're running a server. The only difference is that you do need to make sure that you're downloading the server generated world to your local PC because you need to have access to it. Make the changes, then upload it because it needs it there. And of course, you need to make sure you copy your base or the POI into the POI location that I showed earlier on. Don't put it in the local prefabs because obviously you're going to put it on your server. And then the server should be able to find it and load it and everything should be fine. Another small caveat though that you want to keep in mind, don't put your POI right next to something else. Because let's say I had another base. I have a really beautiful base here. Oh, isn't this cute? Very nice. And then I decide to plop down my imported base right next to it. And then I do a CRF and I do a CR and I change all those things. What I risk happening is that I risk messing up the chunks around it. Like that. And it vanishes because I've unfortunately regenerated all the chunks around this area. So I would recommend don't put it next to another base and delete it. Always take a backup of your save just in case you mess things up. It's one of those things, if you're playing with an active save that you've been playing yourself or playing with friends, take a backup before you make any changes to it because you don't want to mess it up and be unable to continue. But beyond that, play around with it, enjoy it, import your bases, and of course, make sure you like and subscribe, and catch me next time.